August the 30th. Over 3 months since we left England, and we're not even halfway to Australia. Family and friends back home seem to belong to another life. Strong winds and rough seas continue, but we're making good time towards Africa. Henrik Nilsson's death off the Anna Christina a week ago woke us up to the real dangers around us. We're not just a reenactment, we're the real thing. His loss has deepened our sense of family. The fleet has come closer together, and even the skipper's kids are now our kids too. But it doesn't stop us wanting to get to land.
I too have lost a companion at sea. I know your grief, but it is part of your rite of passage, as is courage and endurance.
We know we don't have it as hard as the very first fleet, but we know what it is to be humbled by the sea. And the rite of passage is just the same for us as it was for them.
What's it like up there? Rain, cat's nose, pouring, really cold, wet, windy, freezing, miserable weather. 7.5 knots. English weather. Montana world. Dreaming of where? Cape Town? Yeah, good-looking women and warm weather. What's that with you?
Well, the windy thing about it is that all this stuff is going to be wet for another 8 hours' time. 4 o'clock in the morning, we're going to get back into this stuff.
Profiteroles. He hasn't made profiteroles for a long time.
Yeah, actually, we've got some lovely chocolate.
Okay.
Yeah.
We devised new ways to keep our spirits up. Like a special meal for our 100th day at sea.
Yeah, I have to just finish. I'll be about 20 minutes, right?
20 minutes?
Yeah.
Okay, it's raining, so go your gear again.
Oh, Jesus!
Get on. You don't know where that's heading.
Every 8 hours on watch, day and night, wet, cold and exhausted. We couldn't wait to see Africa.
We're well ahead of Bicentennial Marina, and I know the water's getting low and things are smelly and wet, but let's try and keep the irritation out of it. What we have to do now is major decisions. Are we going to go into Cape Town, or are we going to cruise up and down the coast and wait for the others?
We came out here to sail, didn't we?
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah, but just a minute, please, everyone. You know, we spent a long time at sea, and some of us would rather enjoy the time ashore. It's been a long time between ports.
Yeah, but what about the trainees? They paid a lot of money to come out here, and we paid to come sailing.
Now, I know you paid a lot of money, but part of the first fleet is getting to these exotic places like Rio and Cape Town.
Yeah, but we're here to re-victual and buy some more supplies.
Yeah, we know what sort of supplies you need.
And what do you mean by that?
She probably means one of your bloody pub crawls. I tell you what, some of us could do with a decent pub crawl.
Yeah, but the trouble is your pub crawls are never decent.
Listen, I wasn't the one who wanted a pub crawl, it was Andy.
It wasn't, it was Paul.
Oh, well.
There's some of us who like a little bit of culture ashore. There's precious little of that on this ship. Trust a Pom to say something like that. I'm an Australian citizen too, and don't you forget that.
You're a Pom and you always will be a Pom.
And what's wrong with being a Pom? If it weren't for the Poms, there wouldn't be a first fleet. And little rat bags like you. Come on.
Pilot, stop this! There'll be no fighting on my ship!
Even on the high seas and the square rigger, you still have your little dramas.
Have you read that one before?
At last, the signs of land. And Africa has sent out a welcoming committee. 2 hits in one, Africa and the one and all. The new Aussie brigantine that's chased us halfway around the world has finally caught up.
Sylvia!
Hello, mate. G'day.
Who's the captain? Colin.
Kirsten. He's the Harley Davidson rider on the deck house there. So it's been a long chase, fleet.
Oh, there was times there that, you know, we were thinking, God, I don't know whether we'll ever get there. You know, sort of had a few different little hassles, but we've made it, and that's the main thing, eh?
So you guys are going to sail with us from here on out? You're not going to... no, you're going to stay behind and do any repairs or anything?
Oh, we don't need repairs. We've done all our repairs at sea. We do everything at sea, so when we get ready to come ashore, we can go raping and pillaging first thing. See, we don't have time for repairs.
Good Lord, what an extraordinary crew.
As we sail down towards Cape Town, there is now only one outsider, the Amarina, which took off on her own course out of Rio.
Hello, Amarina, Mark Little here. Friend, I spoke to our directors in Australia last night, and they are very adamant that the Amarina shouldn't enter the harbour until tomorrow with the rest of the fleet. Over.
I am going to go into Cape Town anyhow. I can't stay out here. I've run out of fuel. Over.
Now, I can tell you now, if you insist in coming in, they asked me to advise you that the Amarina will be in breach of her contract. Over.
I fully understand, and I will cooperate with the first fleet. That's why I'm here for also. But to a certain limit. I've been telling you just a couple of days now that I go for Cape Town. And then if I want to make anything, okay, I'm flying home to Sweden. I don't give a thing for this anymore. Over.
The Australian Bicentennial paid $250,000 to design, didn't
they? September the 9th, Cape Town at last. Table Mountain is a great sight after a month in the South Atlantic. I wonder what sort of reception we're going to get at the docks. And how's Clinton going to cope with apartheid?
Okay, Roger.
And I wonder how Anna Christina feels right now, with Henrik's death hanging over them. There's the cool English beauty, Soren Larsen. And Bounty, how's the new captain getting on? Even the stubborn Swedes are with us on the Amarina. And Canada's Black Swan, Svanen, still not permitted to take on trainees. Tradewind, the pirate ship. New Zealand's small and speedy Tucker Thompson. It's just great.
This is a wonderful reception to get after a long trip from Rio. You know, I feel really good.
I'm gonna have a hot shower and a banana split and go to a movie and see the sights. Go to town.
Phone home and hopefully get some letters with perfume on them, and if not, meet some girls with perfume on them, and I'm looking forward to it.
I've heard a lot of good things about Cape Town, so I suppose I'm going to find out myself. You're not paranoid, are you? Not worried about getting hurt or anything, are you? I'm above those things, you know.
Hello, Rhonda. Hello, Arnie. Welcome to the MS Christina. 200 years ago. Welcome to the MS Christina. Welcome to Cape Town. On the Royal Cape Yacht.
The South Africans are rolling out the red carpet. I wonder how much propaganda they'll make out of this.
What a marvellous reception. I'm fascinated to see that the local fashions have scarcely changed.
This is mine. You get your own. Huh? You get your own. This is mine. Wonderful. Wasn't it wonderful and heavenly?
Captain
Captain Adrian Small, Bounty.
Governor and Mrs. Thundercloud. Welcome indeed. Thank you very much. And about the men in Cape Town.
Yep. Take your picture quickly and get out there. Captain Sven Strongberg, Morina.
This is mine. Welcome to Cape Town. May I introduce you to Governor and Mrs. Thundercloud.
Thank you.
Very nice to be here.
Thank you.
Perhaps for the first time, the fairest cape in all the world, acted as a hospitality station to our friends down under the Australians to be.
This is a change. When we arrived, the Dutch were decidedly inhospitable. My, how history can be changed in the telling.
We have come in feeling mean, we've been feeling angry, we've been feeling abandoned in the South Atlantic. And we arrive here and I find out that you guys think that we don't believe in the fleet. But you guys abandon us. A fleet means a collective consciousness. It means people together. And what happens? We all bullshit about, you know, Africa, South Africa, apartheid, the blacks are being abused and all that stuff, right? Well, what about weaker people or slower people? What does this fleet think about the slower people? They don't give a damn about us. God damn it, man. We heard Henrik, well, we didn't hear that. We heard that somebody was washed overboard, okay? On the Anna Christina. I've been on the Anna Christina. I have friends on the Anna Christina, right? What happened? We heard 3:30 in the morning, somebody was washed overboard. You know what happened? Australia heard it before us.
Now he's gone, taken by the ocean he so loved. We've been through something we never thought we'd have to experience, and the only way we came through it was together.
Saying about dolphins is that whenever you see a dolphin playing around your bow, there's a dead seaman's soul in every dolphin. So every time I see dolphins playing around the bow now, I'm thinking about my lost friend.
We have 2 weeks in South Africa. I didn't feel too comfortable about calling here, what with official sanctions, sports bans and all that. So far it doesn't seem so bad, but we're just visiting. Anyway, it's a chance to try and learn something. Had a look around Cape Town today. Population is about 2 million, they say, mainly non-whites. It began more than 300 years ago as a halfway station for the Dutch East India Company, and they weren't on great terms with the British.
Philip's reception here in Cape Town was exceptionally bad, and after 11 days of battling with the local bureaucracy in an attempt to get the hostile Cape government to help him victual the fleet, he decided to contact some old friends of his, the De Wets.
We were fortunate that our commander Philip was acquainted with them, as they were hospitable allies. And moreover, Mrs. De Wet was a pleasure to the eye. I myself would ascend these very stairs, Jonathan, on my regular visits to Philip. So it's appropriate that my descendant should do the same. His house was our headquarters for almost a month. From here, we acquired horses, cattle, sheep, goats, poultry, fodder and seedlings for our new colony. In fact, this garden was to become our settlement's first nursery. Cape Town was our last chance to prepare the ships for the loneliest ocean crossing on Earth.
Here comes Søren Larsen.
Dry docks. I love them. The ships look like beach whales checking in for a facelift.
On your hand. Look at the work there, the hull's alive there. These are the stowaways of the ship. Those who get a free passage to Australia for nothing. Mind you, I don't think much of their berth. See all the little heads going in and out of the barnacles. They're all alive, it's amazing. We'll get the water blast on them shortly.
Yeah.
Blast them into oblivion.
South Africa is just a scapegoat because they openly practice apartheid, and you can actually point your finger and say, well, you guys do this, but I've lived in America and Jamaica, my home country, and I've experienced racism. It's not open, but it's under the table. There's racism everywhere, you know.
At the moment who are still busy with their strike. Welcome the Speckenham workers.
Some of us have come to listen to some music at West Cape University. It's turned out to be a rally in aid of sacked railway and harbour workers, the first permitted since the state of emergency. We're a bit nervous being the only whites, but they don't seem bothered we're here. Got a scare 20 minutes ago when a police helicopter buzzed us. Our film crew don't have a permit. They're singing about freedom, but it's hard to see what they can do without the vote. This is the closest I've got in Cape Town to believing in what I'm seeing. There's no pretense here. Cape Town seems just like any other busy modern city, but it's a bit of a puzzle. There are blacks and whites in the streets, buses, hotels, working or just touring. I wasn't expecting that, but you don't know what's going on behind the scenes. As a trading outpost, it's a bit of an oasis. I can't get over the idea that they should be having all these problems.
Let's sing it.
must say that I was expecting a complete different scenario. I guess I was expecting, like, not one black to be in this town, you know, all white and stuff. I had no idea it would be the way it was. I know there's still a problem, but I must say that I was impressed with most of the things I've seen. And I think I actually like this place. I have so many friends here now. I reckon once I get to Australia, I'm just going to fly back.
Are you going to be able to stay with the fleet on this leg, do you think? Better than the last leg?
The fleet. Of course I stay with the fleet. But if they sail away, I go do it my way. As I've done before.
Hard to starboard.
Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday to you.
I know we only touched the surface. A longer stay would have been a different picture. But the visit has been enough to make me want to know more about what's really going on.
Aloft! Everyone lay low. We're going sailing.
Changed to the Aussie brigantine, the one and all for this leg. I'm interested in the crew who've chased the fleet halfway around the world.
I'm the master. I'm the first mate. I'm the second mate. I'm the engineer.
I'm the cook.
Bosun.
Able-bodied seafarer.
AB. AB.
Carpenter. Nurse.
AB.
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 Goodbye, Africa. Good hope to you too. We're bound for Mauritius. Another 33 days at sea. For some reason, the original fleet didn't go there. They headed straight for Botany Bay.
Of course we did not sail for Mauritius. It was a French possession. The 9-week passage to Botany Bay was a necessity. As we left Cape Town, we were severing all connection with the known world. Many of us would never return.
The one and all was the dream of a university professor, Dr. John Young, who believed he could bring people together through sail training. One and all by name and by nature.
That was a year ago that I arrived with my little box of tools and a few clothes, and I went down. I could choose any berth on the whole vessel, you know, except the 4 that were being used, and I chose the one that I'm in now. I'm still in it. And
some of the people who volunteered their help to build her are still in the crew, like the ship's carpenter and the bosun.
It came to be apparent that I could actually apply for the job and sail with her.
They laid the concrete down there. You can see a bit of concrete. And then they started shaping the keel and bending the keel timber.
to shape, and then they started building this shed over the top. But it was mostly local South Australian people, you know, like, and I thought it was quite admirable of South Australia to be able to produce a 100-foot sailing ship, brand spanking new, when New South Wales didn't even have one.
In South Australia I was born, Ave away, all away. South Australia round Cape Horn, I'm bound for South Australia.
This is the sailing we came for. The new trainees are learning the ropes and finding their sea legs. After 5 months at sea, I know how they must feel right now. We're on top of the roaring 40s, the farthest south we've been. Winds are south-southwest 30 knots and it's blowing dogs off chains. You can really feel the ship respond, like a greyhound let loose. The largest swells in the world have been recorded around here. Even with the rule about not smoking below, we've still got some dedicated smokers. You've got to learn all the tricks.
There's just one thing that grieves the mind. Heave away, don't leave young Nancy Blair behind. We're bound for South Australia. Heave away now, the kings, and heave away, heave away now.
There's one girl on this ship who started square rigging when she was 15. She's planning on being a captain.
Penny, tell us what happened last night.
Squall came through and we had to drop canvas pretty quickly. It was ended up being a hailstorm as well, so made life a bit interesting. But we were pretty prepared for it, and we had enough people on deck, and canvas came down pretty fast, so it was all right.
It's extraordinary to see another sailing ship down in these latitudes, because since the 40s, no sailing ships have come down here. So we're in something of a ghost plane down here. There's only memories of sailing ships. The first fleet, of course, came here 200 years ago, but the last real grain ships, the clippers, carrying big cargoes, came here in 48. That was the Passat and the Palmer.
Stallions of the sea raced at 20 knots or more to bear cargo and people from one end of the earth to the other. Everyone who came to Australia came via this route, in these oceans, in these ships. It was a journey none would ever forget.
They were looking for the powerful winds. They were such heavy ships that they needed the strong winds. You say it's a sailor's world, it's also a sailor's graveyard. There's a lot of good men gone over the side here with no hope of recovering them. So I think a lot of sailors would prefer to talk about having been down here rather than to actually be here. I like it down here at times. It's you reflect on certain things and you realise that life isn't as simple as you sometimes think it is.
With your fleet is a mariner who sailed with this very ship. He was a young cadet then. Now he is the master of your bounty, Captain Adrian Small.
And she had steel hull, steel masts, steel rigging, steel wire, and there was wire and chain sewn into the edges of the sails to withstand the worst kind of weather.
Replying, you're pretty unreadable.
Yeah, roger there. You're looking good, you're looking good. What speed are you doing at the moment, over?
My speed is 7 knots at the moment. We had to reef down during the night.
We struck down to 2 staysails, and we did 9.5 knots, 9.5 knots with 2 staysails, over.
Yeah, that's bloody good.
I reckon there's an undeclared race going on here. Must be the ghost of the clipper ships that's got into them. No one wants to be the last into Mauritius.
Catch up with trade winds. We'll be trying to catch up with trade winds, which is 2 miles ahead, which is about 2 miles ahead, and all three of us will be sailing in company. All three of us will be sailing in company, over.
Okay, yeah, that sounds like a good idea. I can't up with my course at the moment without jibing. I can probably do 095 or something like that. Is that okay with you?
Roger there. Whatever you reckon, we'll keep company with you. We'll keep company with you to the trade winds, over.
Okay, that sounds fine, one and all. So I will keep on this track and watch out for you.
Roger there. Many thanks. We'll catch up with you later there. Cheers and out.
We thought the days had their dangers, but the nights are even worse. And then when the full moon comes along, it's unreal.
So, shipmates, I want to tell you that conditions have improved a lot on the first fleet 200 years later. Originally, the poor old convicts and sailors and officers and, of course, the wenches did pretty badly. Our crews do very well, thank you very much. But 200 years ago, the poor old first fleet people just had salt beef, salt pork, peas, rice, and potatoes to eat. In fact, they were never really sure when they were going to get their next meal, unlike our people who are doing very well. Although then again, having been at sea for a while, you can never be too sure, so it's best to be prepared.
The lights!
A madhouse. Jesus. I hope the first mate doesn't have too many birthdays before we get to Mauritius. Why is the moon wobbling? And the sea's not much better either. It was on the good ship Venus. My God, you should have seen us. The figurehead was a cook in bed, sucking of margaritas.
Morning, Tony.
I've faced the roaring 40s and the occasional full moon at sea. But Sly Fox is something else.
On most of these sail training ships, you're not just the cook. You're the cook, the chief bottle washer, the mother, the housemaid, the floor scrubber, the sympathetic ear for the lads and the lassies. You know? Tell them when to wash behind their ears and what kind of shirt they got on when they go out ashore to meet the girls and...
Wakey, wakey.
Oh, God.
Judy. Are you awake? Yeah. Okay. Michael. Wakey, wakey. Young golly, Judy. How do you do? Are you awake?
Not Stephanie's lawnmower again.
I can't steam in all my drawers. I can't bloody get into them. It's ridiculous. I can just see this is going to be a great morning. I can just feel it right in my bones. Right, what am I up to? I'm trying to make breakfast here. I'm not getting very bloody far, am I? Shit. The food is one of the most important things on the ship. apart from safety. Everybody, every day, all they think about is food. They come in and out of the main saloon, past the galley, and everything on their mind is, what is there to eat? What you cooking? What's for breakfast? What's for dinner? And you never let them know. You go shopping and you don't let anybody know what you're buying. Not even the captain, you know. You just give him the bills and tell him to pay the money. But you never tell him exactly what you buy, because otherwise there's no fun, there's no surprises.
Right, any more
Some
orders?
surprise, why?
Any more toast wanted? Michael made this bread, look, it's beautiful. It's beautiful bread. Well, it's nice and soft.
On the 11th day out of Cape Town, one of our sailors fell overboard from the main topsail yard, and we would be unable to save him.
The 11th day out of Cape Town. 200 years ago, a sailor fell overboard from the main topsail yard. Today, we are extra careful. But below, a trainee had a different kind of fall, a physical and emotional breakdown.
I just collapsed. It was a physical fatigue that completely floundered me.
Are you doing all right?
Should I be polishing the dolphins, polishing the bells, scrubbing the floors, cleaning out the heads? No, I didn't expect that at all. I paid 6,000 rand. And up at 4 in the morning, you start doing a watch for 4 hours. I did not expect that.
One of the great joys of sailing on a square-rigged ship is cleaning the heads. And everybody has a chance to clean the heads, even the official project historian. So, buckets and mops, into the heads we go. Every day this has to happen, because there are so many people using the heads. You have to make sure that they're nice and clean. Can't have diseases on the ship. So we go into the heads, or toilets as they're known on shore, and we start to do a cleaning job. Noni, what are you doing? I'm meant to be cleaning the shower. What are you doing?
Just making some holes so that when we're having our showers, we don't fly out through the curtain, you know, when we rock and roll.
It's being used at the moment. Let's try the next one. Let's see if we can get our mops and buckets and everything through here. This is one of the showers. We can see how...
Justin! Jesus, come on!
Sorry, Helena.
Hey, I'm
totally unintentional.
Shower here.
Totally unintentional. Well, anyway, to keep going through the heads...
Oh, come on, Jordan, give us a break.
Unless we can do the final hit. Oh, sorry. No, Malcolm. Sorry, mate. You're going to be finished soon. You're not meant to read a magazine in... Nobody on the ship is meant to read magazines. Only Malcolm Priestley would be reading a magazine. Are you nearly finished there?
Yeah.
Well, Malcolm might be able to show us now how you actually pump the heads out. Could you show us how you do that? Explain what's happening, Malcolm.
Well, we've got to pump in salt water and pump out what was deposited. Point.
Right. And if you don't do that, what happens?
Very, very nasty smell.
Right, so that's part of the rules. And I have to get in there now. When you're finished, if you want to come out, I've got to get in there and clean that. Sorry, Helena. Like most ships, the one and all is a bit crowded, a bit short of space. However, excuse me though, mind your head. There is just enough room to get through.
Can you give me the towel?
And what I do with this bucket and mop, so make sure that the bowl is nice and clean. Even if you're the creative director and the official historian, you have to lower yourself to work in the heads.
Back in the trade winds for the first time since Brazil, whenever that was. It's getting warmer as we head for the tropical island Mauritius. A time to dry out and catch up with little jobs and with ourselves. A feeling of family, but all doing our own thing, worlds within worlds, sensing when to joke, chat, or leave someone alone. There's about 30 of us on the one and all. A ship this size in the first fleet carried 150. I've tried to feel what they must have gone through, but I can't.
My whole life, most of my life, I've been in a hurry. been impatient, but now it's different. That's very different. I have plenty of time. That's something I realise. I have plenty of time to do everything that I need to do.
We are bound across the ocean for Australia we will steer. Rolling home, we're rolling home. Rolling home across the sea. Rolling home to dear old Aussie. Rolling home, dear land to thee. Of aloft under the rigging, strong as fresh air out in gale, strong as springtime and the
Nice to sail as a fleet.
Yeah, it's comforting, you know, that if anything was to happen to us, we'd be in company with other ships that would come to our assistance. Commodore Mike Kitchenside's got a very hard job trying to keep us all together. Every captain's got his own ideas as to which way he'd like to go, which is the best way to catch the favourable winds, which would be safest for his ships. One day we'd shoot ahead, the next day the conditions would change and we'd find that the Artucker Thompson would be a lot faster in those conditions.
rolling home, we're rolling home, rolling home.
Sometimes we have those magic moments when the whole fleet comes together instead of racing. I don't know which I like better.
Rolling home, dear land to thee.
I must go down to the seas again, to the vagrant gypsy life, to the gull's way and the whale's way, and where the wind is like a whetted knife. I must go down to the seas again, to the lonely sea and sky, and all I ask is a tall ship and a star to steer her by.
I'm very lucky on this ship. I've got the luxury of a weather fax, which you can hear just there, and that's a weather map just coming in. That indicates to me when there are fronts approaching. One luxury we also have on the ship here sailing in a fleet is that the ships that are astern of us can call us up on the radio and tell us if they've experienced any dramatic front coming through.
Roger, 1 and all, back to 2182.
The weather side is the side from which the wind blows, and that's the side from which you're going to get a change of weather. And if we can see a big black cloud coming up, you can usually predict that you're going to get some pretty strong winds out of that. And being a very safety conscious ship, if we saw something like that, we'd probably shorten our sail down so that if a squall did hit us, we wouldn't be knocked over on our side.
There was another storm brewing a long way from here,
Ken Rosebery,
in Australia.
my people on the boat are getting off anyway, because they're my passengers. So we. That's it. The actual landing has been left to our imaginations. It's been banned as too politically sensitive for the Australian Bicentennial. The ban came from the Premier of New South Wales, Mr. Barry Unsworth. There's a lot of difference of opinion over whether or not we've done the right thing in reenacting the voyage of the First Fleet. And of course a lot of the Aboriginals and a lot of the Aboriginal sympathisers think we've done the wrong thing. And they reckon they're going to rise up and attack the First Fleet when they arrive.
I would go ahead, because what you are really reenacting is an adventurous spirit that exists in man. And I think you mustn't let that be belittled for somebody's political opinions. That's my opinion.
Well spoken. Hey, but we're recreating the destruction of Australia.
And why are you on this reenactment, Noel? Why don't you get off the boat?
I've been thinking about it. I have, yeah. I built the boat because I liked working with wood and building the boats, you know. I didn't intend to be here now. Just I've kept on going this way, so I haven't really considered. Now I've got to think about actually arriving in Sydney and whether I want to or not.
The reenactment is to celebrate the actual undertaking, the daring of the time.
It could be good for the Aboriginal people, our coming in the second fleet, because it reminds everybody, hey, the white guys took the black guys' land. And so it raises the consciousness of that. So it could be good from that point of view. We've brought the issue to a head.
Yeah, but how can the whole attitudes change if the Aboriginals are facing this with a total rejection? Whether you celebrate or not, 200 years passes. You must celebrate. If your non-whites there don't like it, then they can lump it. But I cannot see any harm in you celebrating a very, very big event.
And because the fleet is coming, the news is going ahead of us, and people have to think about it. They have to look at the wrongs. But you needn't dwell on that, you know. You can, after you've looked at the wrongs, which we must do and we must admit to, then we can head off in new directions. And this is what we can all do together, black, white, everybody else. We're a wonderful hodgepodge of people now. And we can really look forward to something quite different in the future.
After 37 days at sea, finally something that doesn't rock and roll. The island of Mauritius, the summit of an undersea volcano, as extinct as the dodo bird. One and all won the unofficial boat race, but I couldn't be sure the others would try. Still, we all managed to sail in as a fleet. There was big excitement on the flagship. Funny how the Poms love a bit of ceremony. Hey, the islanders are firing back. I thought the Napoleonic Wars were over.
First, what time they've done what? Return the salute. Return the salute. They're returning us salute.
Feeling horny. Good to see he's come through his personal crisis. There's other sounds from Australia echoing through this place. This Aboriginal group, Middo, are here like us for the Festival of the Sea.
It is a symbol of invasion, if you like. And being a symbol of invasion, if you're going to stand back and say, well, that's okay, well then, therefore, you must accept what's been happening from that invasion up until now.
We don't need to celebrate. I mean, it's not our celebration. It's just something that the white Australians are doing.
We didn't have to go to Mauritius. Mauritius came to us. What an amazing multicultural mix. French, African, English, Indian, Chinese, or a mixture of some or all of them. It's an independent democracy now, still part of the British Commonwealth, but the main language is French because the French were here before the British. Such warm people. I wonder what they think of us. It wasn't long before we were reviving ourselves with Sega, an erotic Creole music which celebrates rhythm and body heat. Know what I mean?
Good God. I presume they'll be flogged for this.
Thank God we found the market. We may not get scurvy after all. Along with textiles and tourism, sugarcane is the mainstay of the economy, the only significant export. You wouldn't think so with all this fruit and veg.
Very simple. Which comes first?
This fruit should last us at least a few weeks. The ships are full of trainees, even one or two too many. We're chock-a-block with new trainees who've all got to be fed for 5 weeks to Fremantle. We're even bringing on chooks to save us. We'll be hot bunking with sheep, cows and bulls next, like on the first fleet.
You've got 7 in and there's 1 left. What about hot bunking? Hot bunking?
No, can't do that with training. And some of the ships are hot bunking anyway. Well, most of the ships are hot bunking already.
What's hot bunking? Hot bunking is where one person is on watch working on deck and the other sleeping in the bed.
Ah, super! Right, I got something for you here. This is for all the crew. This is what happens. You have 1 roll of toilet paper.
Right, thank you.
Okay, you have 1 garbage bag, so use it sparingly.
Right.
This is to clean up your mess.
Right.
This is for your saltwater shower.
Right, great. Thank you.
At last, Svarnen can take on trainees. The first time since England. She's got a fully ticketed Australian skipper now. Guess who? The one and only Ken Edwards, who left Bounty in Rio because of ill health.
Well, I missed the fleet in Rio, and for the 2 months I spent in Sydney, I was desperately anxious to get back. And now I'm in Mauritius with the fleet, and with my old shipmates, it's the most fantastic experience, I can assure you.
November the 10th. Anchors away. It's not the storms, but the deadening calms of the Indian Ocean that could stop us meeting our Australian deadline. Only 1 month to sail 4,000 miles.
We were much further south, of course, not having diverted to Mauritius. Captain Phillip and I were sailing on the naval tender Supply, ahead of the other 10 ships.
This is it. The home straight to Oz. We're going to follow the traditional sailing route from Mauritius to Australia, which means reaching south with the easterly trade winds, chancing our luck on the fickle variables, then making further south to those roaring 40s again. But right now, back on the flagship, the permanent crew are celebrating 200 days at sea.
Who's made a cake for today? That's
Brilliant. Well done, Dizzy. That's really good.
What's this? For sure the doctor didn't make that. 200-year-old scones. 200-day-old scones. What's your job, Andy?
Getting everybody merry. Plus purse ring and everything else.
And they include Tish.
Cooking for 200 days.
Whoa, and Johnny Grisker. What do you do, Johnny?
Rigging the rigging.
No, really, what's your job?
I was here 200 days ago, not 200 years ago, not with the first one.
What have you been doing the last 200 days?
Like sunbathing, growing my hair, nothing much.
Bathing on the deck?
Bathing on the deck, naked, yeah, causing the girls' hearts to flutter.
You've been on for 200 days, haven't you?
Has it been fun? Whoa! Come up! Let's go!
That one went a long way, Andy.
Okay, spread your base slow. There you go, get good balance.
This is a special day. We're all watching the fleet's oldest trainee, Anne von Bertouche, go up the rigging for the first time since she joined in London. She's never missed a watch, but this is a challenge she's been postponing. Anne said she was born before the First World War, when square-rigged ships were the way many people travelled to Australia.
There you go, knee up. There you go. It's very difficult getting up the last little bit onto the platform, but otherwise, fine, and I'm so glad I got here.
Ian James, Australia's High Commissioner in Mauritius, is giving it a go. He's done the easy bit. Hanging back in thin air, timing the roll of the ship. That's the brown pants moment.
Steady on. Well done.
Well done.
It's a pretty classy bunch of trainees coming over the futtocks today.
Without a doubt, your British Prime Minister shames our Prime Minister, William Pitt, in sheer nerve. But what is she doing here?
I wanted to be a sailor boy, so I sailed on for the First Fleet. I wanted to climb the yards and the shrouds, but I didn't know clue from sheet. So I took some lessons from Dan, the first mate. He said he would teach me it all. Getting my buttocks up over those futtocks was totally impossible. Oh, I can't get my buttocks up over those futtocks, however much I try. I can climb on the yard, that's not too hard. But the futtocks, my buttocks defy. I can haul up a mainsail, I can belay a bunt. I can send messages in semaphore. But those bloody old futtocks that hold back my buttocks have made me a figure of scorn. First mate said, lose weight. So a diet I tried. I only ate fish, but not when it's fried. I never ate breakfast, no dinner, no lunch. And after all that, it came to the crunch.
Excuse me, can I get a bus from here to Romford? Hey!
Futtocks, the futtocks. Can I get my buttocks up over those futtocks?
There you are. That's it. That's as far as I can go, really. Can you put my foot back, please? Oh, right there. Shit. Right there.
I don't have to prove that my buttocks can move.
No, I don't.
Up over the futtocks.
Okay, we'll try it.
Those futtocks, they're Claire's. She's signed on 750 of us trainees since England.
Well, yes, it is a bit more peaceful up here than it is down there. They're all lovely people, but it does tend to feel a bit crowded after a while.
Are you comfortable up here? Do you enjoy doing this?
Yes, I enjoy doing this. No, I'm not that comfortable at the moment. How about you?
I've got harness strangling me here. You see, that's my harness here. It's Marlon, by the way. They donated it to me. Thank you, Marlon. It's my life. That's what I'm looking at when I look straight down. My leg, see, is attached to that block there. My other leg, oh, that's not my other leg. That's attached to that there. See how big my toe is grown, Mum? And this harness here is actually attached to that thing up there. Oh, it's come undone. Best go now. Yeah. As soon as I get this noose on the record.
The ships of our fleet struggled across the Southern Ocean in two separate divisions, according to their speed. In our case, this was deliberate. I understand yours is unintentional.
Our Commodore and captains are not agreeing to sail as a fleet, and as a result, you've got ships going off to the north-east and ships going off to the south-west, and we're in the middle of the Indian Ocean. And so it's a scattered fleet. It's sailing further apart than it's ever been sailing.
A southeast slant in the wind has split the fleet, leaving Amarina, Bounty and the flagship plugging southwest back towards Africa. The other 5 ships are being pushed towards India. We've still got 4,000 sea miles to go, and some of the new trainees are still paying the admission price the sea demands.
Crazy the whole time. I really wish I wasn't here to think I'm here by choice.
Where are you going now?
On watch.
You've taken these out.
Yeah, witness the whole time I'm on watch too.
Show us the charm. John?
Teddy?
Does that make you feel any more secure having that on?
Yes, it does. Talisman. I'm not really superstitious, but it does. If I lose him, I'll go overboard.
She'll pull through, like the rest of us.
Our Our largest ship was the filthy, troublesome transport Alexander, 100 tons larger than your largest ship, the fair Amorina. I believe the word Amorina is associated with love, and she lives up to her name. Although Cinderella may be more appropriate, considering her humble beginnings as a lighthouse ship.
A bunch of us from the Soren Larsson are grabbing the opportunity for a mid-ocean visit to the Swedish Love Boat.
We've got a great bunch of bodies on board. And we'd like to do just a short excerpt of a couple of different acts that we've put together for you, and we certainly hope that you enjoy it. Thank you.
Where have you been on my voyage? The Swedes sure know how to travel in style. In this first fleet, Sheraton, some build up $1,000 bar bill on a single leg. Leg less, I reckon. Just a hop, skip and a jump to the playground down the corridor. And no need to be possessive. More fun with four in a cabin. En-suite bathroom, of course. What a wheelhouse. No point in getting cold and wet when you're at the helm. Yes, I think Swedish blue is definitely becoming my favourite colour.
You have a reputation as being a lover boy, kissing women's hands all the time.
What? all the time. No, very seldom I got the chance. When I do have a chance, I take it, yes. I must live up to the name Amorina.
I've just learned that engineer Bjorn and his mate Petra keep the Amorina revving below decks, in the engine room. They met on the Amorina and got engaged. Over the past 7 months, Bjorn has taught Petra everything she knows about engines. They've enjoyed exploring every pulsating part in their engine room romance. It's the hottest place on the ship.
Pull away the clew lines. Pull away the bump lines. Okay, okay. Do you think we'll make it to Australia on time? Do you think we'll be there
before Christmas? We'll be there, I hope.
Are we meant to be there by the 10th of December?
I doubt any of us will be there.
We had a ship who lived up to her name, in a manner of speaking. She was a transport named Friendship. Some of the most notorious women convicts revelled with her insatiable crew, a veritable floating bordello. I am, of course, not casting aspersions on Amorina. In fact, I am relieved you are not so faithful to the reenactment.
Don't try to swim over to the other vessel. Just keep close by here for the risk of sharks. I don't want any one of you to be shark food.
Sorry, mate, but I'm taking the risk. I can't hack the Swedish pace. Sharks have got nothing on your women. It's a relief to be back on the Soren Larsson, where you can learn useful things like why this place is called the Horse Latitudes.
Ships carrying livestock, quite often they got stuck in these areas of light airs and variables, and they wouldn't have enough water aboard to cater for both the men and the animals, so the animals had to go overboard.
Can you believe it? We're just about as far from Fremantle as when we left Mauritius 10 days ago. Blown in the wrong direction and becalmed in a big, lazy, high-pressure system.
Well, we've got to be in Perth, Western Australia, on the 10th. We've now got 21 days. 21 days and 3,000 miles. And we'd have to do more than 140 miles a day. At the moment, we're almost becalmed. We're doing 1 knot as we wait for winds that may never come. And it's my argument that as we've got engines, iron staysails, and we're in 1987, we ought to motor to the belt where the winds are, instead of waiting, pretending we're in the 18th century, hoping to get winds that may or may not come.
Pretending we're in the 18th century? I thought this is what it's meant to be about.
Have you really been touched by the spirit, Jonathan?
That lake is just incredible.
And what's also incredible is that Ed Coleridge is sailing with us. He's an artist descended from the poet Coleridge, who wrote the rhyme of the Ancient Mariner.
We did speak only to break the silence of the sea, all in a hot and copper sky. The bloody sun at noon, right above the mast, did stand, no bigger than the moon. Day after day, day after day, we stuck, nor breath, nor motion, as idle as a painted ship upon a painted ocean.
Winding up the iron staysail.
It's meant to be a sailing ship.
We've decided to motor our way out of trouble, something the First Fleet couldn't do. But we've only enough fuel for a quarter of the distance to Frio, and we'll be using half of that in search of wind. It's a gamble. Grab the advantages while you can, like a warm wash with seawater heated by the engine's cooling system. Who said pommies never take a bath?
At last there came an albatross, and with it came the wind.
The first west winds bring our first albatross since Mauritius.
Oh, I joined her on a cold December morning. A flapping of me flippers to keep me warm. With the south cone hoisted as a warning. To stand by the coming of the storm. Oh, Paddy lay back. Take in your slack. Take a turn around the caps and heave a pole. Oh, about ship station, boys, be handy. About for parades around the horn.
An island, 38 degrees south, midway between South Africa and Australia. A little piece of France, with the unlikely name of Amsterdam Island.
The sea, S-E-A.
Il Amsterdam, le Soren Larsen l'appelle,
Sophia, a French Mauritian trainee, was like music to the ears of the French scientists on the island.
Amsterdam, I met a maid and she was mistress of her trade. I'll never go a-roving with you, fair maid.
We were invited ashore for a lobster lunch, but on this voyage we have deadlines to meet, and the winds were too good to lose.
This is a financial operation. We've got to arrive there by the date they've specified, which is the 12th, because we've got to make money in order to pay for the operation. They're expecting 40,000 people to come down to the wharf over the weekend, which is when we've got to arrive. So suddenly, instead of coming in our own time with the wind as our master, we have to come in with the dollar as our master, and we have to quickly tell all the other ships to maybe pull in sail and start motoring and go for it. And that's a big change. You know, my idealism and romanticism has been brought down to earth with one quick telegram. I've forgotten that the wind is not our master, the dollar is.
That's fine, Jonathan. But who's paying for this trip?
We've been told that we can't land, and I think the Voyage crew, some of the others, the full-time crew, are very disappointed that this unique opportunity is being passed up in the interest of getting to Fremantle at a certain date.
We're supposed to be at
Rottnest on the 9th, to arrive on the 10th, and there's no way we're going to get there.
The last people that called there from our fleet had 80-odd lobsters given to them by the French. And we're going by? Can you believe it?
Well, if you buy a lobster, it's about £20 for a 6-pounder.
Yeah?
Well, you look at the Australian dollar, that's $4,000, isn't it?
Opportunities present themselves occasionally in this life, and probably, even though I'm a seafaring man, the chances of me ever coming here again, I think, are quite remote. Perhaps I'm lucky enough just to see it. A lot of people won't even do that, so perhaps I should just be happy at that.
They really expected us to land on the island, and they were quite sorry that we've decided not to.
The last Aussie boat we heard of that passed this way a couple of years back, the fishing boat Southern Raider, was sunk by a French gunboat. Maybe they stopped for lunch.
We are passing by, and that we've specially lit the sails and the ship for them to see us, and they are very thankful for that.
We're pushing her hard into the night, all canvas set. But the months of wear and tear have found their mark. The lower topsail crane has snapped, and half a ton of wood and steel could crash down on deck.
Imagine that's coming off the topmast, and the yard is suspended on the end, and the only thing linking those two objects is a 2-inch steel pin. Well, the 2-inch steel pin is sheared off, so the yards drop down like so.
We haven't even shortened sail. We still have this bloody deadline hanging over our heads as well. Bosun Johnny Griska is aloft, making the jury rig more secure.
This jury rig was put up in the midst of rain and dark last night, and it was just that, a jury rig. We're going to make something more permanent that'll carry us the rest of the way. I think we were making 8 knots while we were working on it up here.
Hey, Chris, can you ask Andy to check on a long coil of 2-inch rope, preferably something that's already stretched? Right.
We're charging on with limited time and limited fuel. The wind is the wild card in the pack, but right now she's favouring us. We have to do an average speed of 7 knots for a whole week to get to Frio on time. It's a tall order, even for a tall ship. For the last 3 days, the oceans have been discoloured by thousands of acres of krill. They're like tiny red prawns the size of pinheads, the staple diet of the largest creatures on our planet. We're not the only ones ploughing through the Southern Ocean. A pod of a dozen sei whales are churning the water in a giant feeding frenzy.
I note with alarm the greatly diminished marine life on this voyage. Whales and porpoises used to be so numerous they would resemble packs of hounds scouring through watery ground.
I think we should know that there's been a letter written to the First Fleet Company that there has been drugs on one of the vessels. If any drugs were found on this ship, or trace of them, the ship would most definitely be impounded. That means the ship's seized, I lose my ship, and, you know, it's quite a serious thing. Australia, as most of the Australians I'm sure well aware of, has got very, very strict quarantine laws. If you've got anything that you shouldn't have, for God's sake, get rid of it.
And then the lookout who sees Australia first, so the first person to see Australia after 9 months at sea nearly, we'll let that person keep the medallion, okay? That'll be their bounty, that'll be their prize.
Daddy, so I see it first, I'll have it.
That's right, if you see it first, but you have to keep a good lookout.
Yes. But I bet I'll see it.
You're gonna...
Yes, we are.
The festive season is beginning. Still 1,000 miles to go. What a hell of a Christmas it was for the poor buggers 200 years ago, somewhere between Desolation Island and the bottom of Tasmania. Freezing cold, rotten food, animals starving to death, and only a triple rum ration for the crew to warm their hearts.
Somebody worked it out the other day, and it was over 24,000. Is that right, Vintage?
Yes,
24,000 individual meals.
Yeah. We're still here anyway.
And I can say we're the longest standing cooks in the fleet, and that's something. There's no other boat that's had a single set of cooks or a single cook on the whole trip.
I've never had a Christmas away from home, even when I was doing the national service in the Royal Navy. Never.
In the age of miracle and wonder, Santa came early for Croc Mitchell. His present? A video cassette of his son Daniel, mailed to him in Mauritius.
I find it very smart.
We wish you a Merry Christmas. We wish you a Merry
Bread sauce, potatoes, sprouts a la Bruxelles. Oh, what else do I see? Pumpkin? Not quite the vegetable for an Englishman. Plum pudding with brandy sauce. Oh, excellent.
Merry Christmas, Australia, for the first fleet.
Good idea.
Actually, have another 200.
I'm missing my family. Christmas dinner's not the same without your family. And it's not the same having Christmas dinner in the middle of the Indian Ocean when you normally got snow on the ground in England.
The food, man, is absolutely fantastic.
We wish you a Merry Christmas and a Happy New Year.
100 miles to go and our first Aussie greeting. A royal salute from the Air Force was returned in style. What a buzz. I can't believe it. All the way from England, and I'd never sailed before. It makes you believe you can do anything if you really want to. Dreams can come true.
But when I arrive in Australia, I've got to play Waltzing Matilda, and I've done it. Another thing achieved. Full of achievement, this trip. Quite amazing. This is the greeting Australia sent to us. Quite graceful, beautiful, absolutely beautiful.
Cameraman Tony Curtis has carried the eyes of the world with us on this voyage. On the job every day since leaving London. There must be some sort of record. Tony had an ancestor on the First Fleet, William Curtis, a quartermaster on the Lady Penguin.
I think after almost 6 months now of shooting this documentary, this is still one of my favourite places to come. It's nearly as good as the top of the mast.
Australia, after all this time. It's been a splendid voyage. Wouldn't you say so, Jonathan?
If I had to do this reenactment again, knowing what I know about it now, I don't think I would have taken it on. It's been too much of a struggle. 10 years of heartache to get to Australia. It's actually quite a high price to pay. I really feel for people like Ralph Clark, who made the original trip 200 years ago, because I've missed my wife and children terribly.
It doesn't really matter whether one liked it, whether one liked all of it or not. It remains for everybody who's participated the experience of a lifetime. I have loved it.
We beat the clock with half a day to spare, And Tucker Thompson came out to welcome us. Chris Fox sailed his rite of passage after a promise to his dad way back in Portsmouth.
Oh yeah, he wanted me to be twice the man and half the size. How have you been getting? Probably twice the man, but not quite half the size yet. Soon, maybe, soon. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Boom! The USS Missouri, battleship. They're bringing their guns to bear. We're in trouble now. Thousands of boats, hundreds of thousands of people. This is the first landfall in Australia. It's just fantastic. So after all the problems, is it worthwhile? You bet. You bet.
They revealed half a kilo of cannabis on board the ship to trade with. A member of the crew already has been charged and granted bail. The incident also caused 5 ships to make an unofficial trip to Fremantle for a thorough customs inspection. Ian Ferguson, Corrie National News on board the Solid Master on the coast of Re-Enactment.
Look at this. Quite a swell running as we're coming into the breakwater. 7:45 in the morning, and there's thousands and thousands of people here. It's great. It's great. I really get the old butterflies here. 3, 2, 1. Yeah, look at all these people everywhere. Please. Nice to be here.
Yeah, it's good. Yeah.
Impressed with the welcome?
Yeah, not bad, not bad. Colourful. That's good. That's really good.
Too busy now. Have you ever seen anything like this in your life? I mean, the whole of Perth and Fremantle, it's fantastic. Just for me. Well, a few others.
I really don't want to talk about it. It's so wonderful.
Feel good, John?
Yeah, great. Fantastic work, isn't it? Yeah. Top. God's own country.
Rolling home, rolling home, rolling home across the sea, rolling home to dear old Aussie, rolling home to land to live.
Cheer up, Jack, bright smiles await you. From the fairest of the fair, there are love and hearts to greet you, and tranquil comes everywhere.
Rolling home, rolling home, rolling home across the sea, rolling home to dear old Aussie, rolling home to land to live.
The burden of dreams weighed more heavily on Jonathan King, but without him, none of us would have made this voyage.
And we'll break the shores of Australia when the grey dawn breaks to light.
Rolling home, rolling home, rolling home across the sea, rolling home to dear old Aussie, rolling home their land to live.
Champagne! Sweet's here! Let's have a party!
And there's champagne for Croc Mitchell. All of his Christmases have come at once. Remember way back 6 months ago in Tenerife when he took off to Australia for the birth of his baby? Well, true to the festive spirit, the First Fleet Company flew his wife Patsy and son Daniel across Australia to be with Dad.
We've come all the way from England, haven't we?
Yeah, we have.
Can you remember the countries we stopped at?
And that's why we're so thirsty and hungry, aren't we?
I was inspired by the spirit of the past. I was inspired by the spirit of the founding settlers, and I just had to fight their cause and use the Bicentennial to wave their flag.
So we've brought the fleet home to dear old Aussie, and we all feel a mixture of elation and sadness. Elated because we made it, and sad because we'll soon be breaking up. And some of the friends I've made and the things I've shared will last a lifetime. If you told me right now that Aussie mateship began with a sea voyage, then I'd have to agree. I'd never claim we had the courage and endurance of the first fleeters, but I feel now that I know them a little better.